here we are. This is Sex Love Psychedelics, and I'm your host, Dr. Kat. Bringing you psychosexual conversations that will leave you intellectually turned on and hungry for more.
There's a difference. I mean, there's got to be a difference between somebody resonating from the inside versus something coming in from the outside. And I ask that because I was in a ceremony where a friend was singing into me, and singing into me brought me to tears and brought emotions up. And then, as you're talking here about singing ourself, I'm just curious about your experiences.
Well, I would ask if you do this work to move your own sound through that same area that person toned into before I could really answer that question. So I tone into people all the time. This is part of the healing work that we do.
Yeah.
Like harmonics with the voice in the body. It's fantastic. People are purging and healing and crying and moving. And yes, our own voice could act as any of these outward tools that we have act. But if you go in first and you actually clear all that out, right, then the cell might already be reset. So the first thing I would have to ask is if you would go in, and you can do it yourself or you can receive it. They both work. Now, mind you, certain vocalists have trained their tonality in a way where they're really in control of exactly what's coming into you, and their own stuff is nowhere involved, and they're like just the tone.
Yeah.
Right? And so receiving that it's amazing because you're receiving it. It's not an activated process.
Yeah.
So it's the same as, like someone massaging you or you massaging yourself. You can get the same result. You can get that kink out of your finger. But when someone else is doing it, it's like, you can feel the whole thing because there's not a part of you that isn't able to feel because it's in action.
Yeah.
Okay? So I recommend both. And then to bring it back to your line of work, to bring it back to that, doing that during sex is everything.
Yeah.
So if you practice play, toning into the body, we know during a blowjob where it's like,
yeah,
like
totally do it.
It's called a hummer, you know that. And even when a man's cunniling is, what that's the only way we're going to get close to what a vibrator feels like, because that's the only way we can get that kind of oscillating sound.
Yeah.
But put that on different parts of the body.
Yeah.
Different erogenous zones, and just make pure sound into the body and watch what starts to happen. I have certain spots on my body that when my partner does that with me, it is unbelievable what amount of energy can come up and what I can become and what I can release into.
Yeah.
Right. And so that is a favor to be returned, to be played with back and forth.
Yeah.
But we can look and see people don't even sound their orgasms, let alone feel comfortable enough to make sounds into their partner's body. That people just start laughing at stuff like that because we're not comfortable enough to really know that this voice is a force.
Yeah. You know what I want to make? I want to make merchandise that says, "I love men who moan."
Nice.
Because there also is this cultural conditioning on men too that moan or let sound out for their pleasure too. It's
what about the men who I just tell you they're about to come?
Oh, right? Yeah.
Like that's so programmed in. Oh, I'm going to come. Like they have to tell you. And it's like, I don't want to hear it in words. I want to hear it in how your body's expressing that, right? Like sound out what that pleasure feels like.
Yeah.
And see how much more pleasurable it is versus the head in you that wants to let us know what's about to happen so that you can control how it comes out.
Yeah, interesting.
This is like, it's such a lock in there where instead
Yeah.
if a man would go like, like to let it go, that's the softening place.
Yeah, love that shit.
That's a vulnerable man. That's what we want. We want people who are vulnerable. Men, women, both. Like, it doesn't matter
Everyone.
what sex. You're right. It doesn't matter what sex we're talking about here.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of opening up to be who you are and soft enough to feel it all and express it all.
Yeah, yeah. Oh God, I love this so much.
Well, that was fun. Thanks for tuning in, lovers. And if you want to experience more ecstasy and sexual liberation, head over to sexlovepsychedelics.com and learn about how you can join me for any one of my online or live events. And while you're there, grab my free guide on sex and psychedelics. Remember, this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please contact your healthcare provider and local law before pursuing any of the products or psychedelics discussed. And one final note here. I make this show specifically for you. If you're loving the show, then be sure to leave me a review in iTunes or Spotify to let me know. Happy to be here and happy to serve. I'll see you next time on Sex Love Psychedelics.